Hi and welcome. I'm Wise Witch Withers, and today on this April full moon 2025, we're going to be doing an elemental reading. Elemental so that we can harness the energy coming from the pink April moon. You say, why is it pink? Well, it's not actually going to be pink. But it's named that after the pink wildflower that blooms in the spring. What the moon and the cycle of the moon represent this spring is rebirth and growth. So that's what our intentions are going to focus on as we do today's reading. Now, first, we want to bless the cards. So I'm just going to move them to the center of the table here. And to do our blessing, our elemental blessing, we need the representation of the earth. I have salt to represent salt of the earth. We have air. And I'm going to light some Palo Santo to represent the air. We have fire. And we have water. I've placed water. I'll lay my hand on the deck. I ask the 4 elements to be present as I bless this oracle deck and dedicate it to my use. I ask the 4 elements to be present as I bless this oracle deck and dedicate it to my use. I ask the 4 elements to be present as I bless this oracle deck and dedicate it to my use. Earth, bless this deck with wisdom. Air, bless this deck with clear communication. Fire, bless this deck with inspiration. Water, bless this deck with insight. All right. Now that we have blessed the deck, just going to move some things out of the way here. Because I can already feel the energy coming off the deck. And that energy is something that I want to harness for our reading today. So I'm feeling the energy and I'm sending the energy out of my body like long tendrils. And they're reaching into the deck to feel the deck's energy from the blessing we just placed on it. And the energy from the deck is reaching back out towards me. And our tendrils are wrapping around each other until our energy is mixed and swirling, and I can feel the energy of the deck running through me. Now, as we prepare for our reading, I'm going to shuffle the deck as best I can with my wrist. You may have noticed that I have a slight injury here. My coordinated self decided to hang some blinds and took a little fall and injured my wrist. We don't want to focus on that though. while we're shuffling the cards, we want to focus on our intentions. And remember, we're aligning our intentions with that of the energy of the moon, this glorious pink full moon that we have at 8:22 p.m. tonight. So I'm shuffling these cards, and remember, those intentions are new beginnings and growth. So I want to focus on new beginnings and growth and how the elements will impact those new beginnings and growth. So that's what we're focusing on. That's what our intention is. That is the energy that I am sending, flowing into these cards. What new birth, what new cycle of growth do you have in store for me? What energy, what new beginnings, what growth do you have in store for my viewers? Now, with an elemental reading, we need to represent each element. So once again, we go earth, air, fire, and water. But we're adding the fifth element of spirit to our reading. Now, I'm not going to turn these cards over all at once. What I'm actually going to do is start with the Earth card. We want to think about what the effects of this issue, these intentions that we set, these new beginnings, and this cycle of growth, how this will impact my body and my physical state. So we drew the chamomile card. How will this affect my body and physical state? Well, chamomile, we all know as a tea. We've all heard of chamomile as a tea. So we already probably are thinking about relaxation, sleep, and you've kind of got the right idea when you're thinking about a cycle of growth and new beginnings. We have to remember to take care of ourselves. We have to remember that self-care is important. And this card reminds us that even with all of the elemental energy we are drawing in, that we need to slow down a bit and remember that you have to take time away from the things that drain you. And when you're starting something new and you're starting a cycle of growth, that can be draining, even though it's positive. So remember to take care of yourself. Now, air. What are the effects of our intentions on our mind and mental state? For this, we drew the hedge card. So the hedge, we always think hedge, that's something that we have to trim every year to keep it in looking good. It's something that requires regular maintenance. It creates boundaries. And you're right in thinking all of those things. That's what this card means. It's a natural boundary. It serves two purposes. It defines a safe zone, protecting you from what's outside, or to keep you in one place, like a pin. So basically, this card is saying, review your boundaries. Are you able to grow like we intended with this session within the boundaries that you have set now? Or do you need to review those boundaries and expand your boundaries so that you can grow and have those new beginnings? So this is a good point for reflection. We pause here a minute and think about the chamomile taking self-care, the hedge evaluating our boundaries, making sure we have room for growth and new beginnings. So, are your boundaries so strong that you push people away? Are your boundaries so strong that you push new opportunities away? Take time to reflect on that while you're doing your self-care and your relaxation. All right. Now let's talk about fire. What are the effects of fire on the intentions we set of new beginnings and a cycle of growth? We drew sage. Sage, we know, is a herb that we're all familiar with, I'm sure. We've all used a little sage in our lives. Sage is also used to purify, give wisdom, and create harmony. Some of you may have even used sage to cleanse the spaces that you're in. We call that smudging. I have here a piece of white sage that I use for smudging. Mine has some rose petals attached to it for the spring, for the pink April moon that reminds us of the new growth and new beginnings. Sage is a wise herb. It ensures that you are grounded and stable, and the wisdom you need is easily acceptable. So once we have cleared those boundaries and made sure we're taking care of ourselves, we're going to find the wisdom that we need for that cycle of growth. The sage will show us that door that's going to open to our new beginnings. How, you ask? Do I need to eat more sage? Do I need to sage my house? What do I need to do? Well, you drew the sage card, so that's enough. But if you want to throw some extra sage in your spaghetti tonight, that won't hurt things either. And if you want to sage your house, the purification will always be grounding for you. Moving on to water. Let's think about this. What effects does water have on my emotional well-being? The card we drew for that is Carnelian. Now, you may not have heard of carnelian. This may be a new one for you guys. This is a crystal or a stone. You may see some crystals and stones behind me. For instance, this is another crystal or stone. Crystals and stones can be used to give energy, creativity. There's lots you can do to harness the power of a crystal. Carnelians, in particular, have these bright red hue to them. And they're associated with creativity, energy, and they enhance leadership. In fact, they're one of only 2 elements that do enhance leadership. So whatever your new beginning is going to involve some type of leadership opportunity. It is time for you to grow in a way that promotes yourself as a leader. Now, does that mean in work? Not necessarily. There's many ways in life that you can become a leader. You can become a leader in your household. You can become a leader in your hobbies. You can become a leader in your church or other spiritual organizations. There's so many different ways that you can become a leader. Just be open to any possibilities. Let that sage give you the wisdom to be open to what the carnelian is trying to show you with the leadership. This carnelian will give you the confidence to do what needs to be done in your leadership role. On our last one, the Spirit. Let's think about what are the effects of our intentions on my spiritual well-being. For this, we drew the Spring card. And how wonderful is it to draw the Spring card when we are in celebration of the spring moon, the pink moon in April. Oh, what a refreshing card to draw for our Spirit card. Now, everybody has heard of spring, and I'm just like everybody else, and I love spring. And what are we talking about here? New beginnings. What does spring symbolize? New beginnings, new life, rebirth, regrowth. Everything that we set our intentions for is what spring represents. Everything that this moon intends and represents is wrapped up in spring. The reawakening of the earth is always going to be inspiring. And after a long, hard winter, I know you're ready for some spring inspiration. If your house looks anything like mine, I've got things popping up out of the ground, and I'm so excited to see what they turn into. And I've got new blooms and new buds on trees, and it's such an exciting time. It's invigorating to witness the stirring energy after such a long rest. Spring tells you it's time for those new beginnings, and it's the perfect time to launch new projects or things you previously put on hold. Maybe that's where your cycle of growth comes in. Maybe you need to grow by completing something that you have left undone. And that will help you to move forward in your new beginnings. So think about, is there a project you want to launch that you've previously ignored? Today's reading is just a precipitation to tonight's full moon. For tonight, I'm going to ask you to continue with the beginning of spring and with the full moon. I'm going to ask you to do something for the full moon to continue the energy that we have built here together today in this reading. I'm going to ask you to think about what your intentions are for the full moon. Now, we've talked a lot today about starting a new cycle of growth. We've talked about the new cycle of growth. We've talked about new beginnings. And so those are great intentions to set, but you can be more specific too, but not too specific. Like, you can say, I want $5,000, but don't say I want $5,000 on Monday. So keep your intentions specific, but realistic. Put them on a piece of paper, put them in a jar, and set them in the moonlight. And let the moon's energy wash over your intentions. The energy that you poured into those intentions and into that jar, that energy that you've collected today from this reading. I hope that you've gotten something beneficial from the reading today and the full moon at 8:22 p.m. this evening. And I hope to see you again. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for following. All likes and shares are appreciated.